Hey everyone, my name is JJ Paulson. I'm a student entrepreneur and co-founder of the tech startup Perch. I want to invite you for coffee and conversation on our weekly series, Coffee Talks. We're here to showcase the heartbeat of Gainesville's entrepreneurial spirit. I want to give a quick thank you as this series is made possible by Afternoon Roasting and Seven Ashes Productions. So grab your favorite mug, settle in, and let's explore the exciting world of entrepreneurship together. Now let's meet this week's guest.
Morning, everyone. Thank you guys for coming out to another Coffee Talks. Before we get going, just want to give a quick thank you to Afternoon Roasting and Seven Ashes Productions for making these possible. Once again, I'm JJ, and today we have joining us Luke from Luke's Media Company. So, Luke, why don't you just introduce yourself real quick and explain what Luke's Media Company does?
Yeah, absolutely. So Luke's Media Company is a video production company that also specializes in photography and drone services. We initially started out as an aerial photography business, and then through the desire to be able to grow a company that has a team rather than just a kind of a sole owner running everything by himself, I decided to brand into a media company, learn a lot about video production, and from there, we've been able to get employees and grow a team and start building out a community to where we can constantly kind of give back. As I learn something, pour back into someone else's life rather than just kind of keep it all for myself. What's awesome about the creative space is there's a lot of kind of open talk between businesses. There's some businesses around that are cutthroat and won't hear from you or anything like that or want to help you out. But otherwise, whenever you need help in a creative space, another business typically or another contractor or whatever would be more than happy to try and help pour into you and your company. So that's been a great part of what's helped us grow, and then how we've also been able to help other people grow. And if you're an employee with us, we're not trying to make you stay with us. Once you get to the maximum of your skill with us, you're going to move to Atlanta or Orlando or whatever, that's awesome. You know, that's what we go for rather than hindering what people can do. So what we do is a lot of like mid-scale production for commercials for businesses, traveling, a lot of real estate photography, videography, all those smaller scale jobs that allow us to keep our team busy in the meantime, and also social media management and marketing. So those are great for continuing to let the team have their hands in editing, shooting, so really being on the front end and back end of a lot of the projects that we do. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Typically when we have people on, I like to start with the beginning. So I know, you and I have talked before about how you got into flying drones, which then led you to wanting to get into starting a media company. Why don't you share a little bit about how you got into, because I know you started with drones, right? So how you got into that.
Yeah, so growing up, my family wasn't extremely wealthy, and my parents, on my dad's side, they weren't extremely wealthy or anything. However, a passion that they've always had is aviation. So growing up, I was always into building model airplanes out of balsa wood, out of foam board, all of that, and putting electronics on them, making them fly, with the goal to become a commercial pilot someday. So everything that I positioned myself towards was finding a way to either fund or get a scholarship or whatever it is to go into flight school and get my commercial pilot's license. So I had the opportunity to start the business while I was at a pretty much full-time job at Interstate Batteries, selling car batteries in a warehouse. It was hot always and a lot of labor, but it was me doing everything I could to build up some sort of funding for flight school. From there, got an opportunity through starting the business just doing aerial photos for real estate land because we didn't do ground photography at the time. So no realtor wanted us for anything unless they were just land development and stuff like that. So we started doing that, getting a little bit of gigs here and there. I joined the Gainesville Chamber, started becoming a part of the community a little bit, which those people are amazing and you can always connect. Found my own way of marketing myself, not through just trying to push the business, but more so just grow relationships with people. And naturally, if you get a relationship with someone that's not centered around business, you'll stick with them a little bit more. So a lot of times I'd always start my conversations off with, hey, how's it going? My name's Luke Lauer. You know, I own a video production company, or at the time, aerial photography business. Tell me about you, rather than me just trying to dive into who I was and what I did. But in starting that, it allowed me to start my flight school process, as well as my buddy and I. We were actually both started at the same time because we both grew up in aviation. And we got to our private pilot's license. Took about 3 months, and then he had a issue with his medical not passing with flight school. Our plan was that we would go down south together and continue on flight school there. It would be a little bit cheaper and a little faster. However, he got held up for a whole year. So I was in this kind of middle ground of, do I stick with the business? Do I take a few job offers I had that were a salary job with good companies? Or do I kind of just hold out and wait until flight school would be open back up to where I'd go with my buddy again? Ended up being, long story short, I turned down all the job offers that I had, and I decided to go full-time with the business, which was not the easiest thing to do. Because money just wasn't there at the time for continuing flight school. It's about $80,000 to go through flight school, and there is not much help that you can get with that because scholarships don't, like Bright Futures and everything I had didn't go towards that. I had just finished at my AA. I was at Santa Fe College, got my AA, was going for business, about to transfer to UF. So I finished my AA, dropped all the job opportunities I had, dropped the job, and then decided to just go straight on with the business. And then 3 days after that, my buddy got his medical approved, and he was continuing on with flight school. And that was the motivation I had to stick along with him. So I was like, man, I just lost every opportunity I had to be able to move forward with flight school and actually have someone to kind of be a support, go through with it. Because it's really hard to do it on your own. And also that was kind of part of the encouragement. I was wanting to be there for him while he was there for me. So he continued on. He got his private pilot's license, his commercial license, his instrument rating, his instructor rating. Now he's an instructor at UAC, doing an amazing job. And I am so blessed that that's how everything panned out, because now I've been able to grow a business and learn so much more about myself and how to give back to people. And yeah, so started out originally just drone, got my pilot's license, had a little hold up, and then now I just have my pilot's license, and it's more of a hobby. I normally go flying about once a month or whatever. But that's kind of all I ever really wanted it to be. But when you're in aviation, it's so expensive that unless you have a really good paying job or you fly for your job, you're not really going to be able to do anything with it. So someday I'll own a plane, but
Right.
it'll be a little while. So, but yeah, so now we have my wife. She came on full time with me, and we have one employee, and then some contractors. We're actually about to hire a new employee. So the business has been steadily growing, and it's just been a blessing to be able to have everything work out. And at the moment, you're like, man, I don't have a lot of options or which one's the right one to choose. But it's always easier post everything to see, wow, it was really like God was really working in the opportunities, and this is where I'm meant to be right now. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that kind of year break was the best possible thing that could have happened, because it really gave you time to like fully dive into actually building a business rather than going through flight school, you know, like building those relationships and connections through the chamber and things like that in Gainesville probably ended up being priceless to you, similar to like in the summer, I decided not to take an internship and went, you know, fully dove into doing something very similar. It ended up being priceless as well.
Yep.
So it's, you know, super cool to see how that pans out. It really seems like, you know, you are fully built and grown in Gainesville, from developing relationships with the chamber to getting your AA here at Santa Fe. So how has like a community like Gainesville played a role in actually getting things off the ground and getting like traction and growing through the business?
Right. So a big thing for growing a company is relationships. And like I already mentioned a little bit ago, when you're in a city like Atlanta or Orlando or even Tampa, a lot of that is bigger businesses. They just care about the product, or they just care about it getting done, rather than you meeting someone and maybe they understand you're not where you're going to be, but you're going to get there and they trust you. So building a relationship and them learning the kind of character that I was and the value that I brought to the table or wanted to bring to the table as we grew allowed them to envision us growing into meeting their needs and or just being able to make the relationships that led to other things. We've just through building relationships with other photography studios in town or companies and video production companies, I've been able to travel to Colorado, Miami, Missouri, and Atlanta, and all these other places for video production jobs that were the only reason why it happened was because I was getting out there and meeting people. So it's Gainesville is a really relationship-based area, you know. Most of the businesses here, not all, but a lot of them are built off of family-run companies, or at least the ones that you want to be involved with, you know, are built off family-run companies. And building a foundation in your young life and growing up that is based off of family and caring for each other and not just trying to be better than the next person and not having any kind of care for other people around you is a very crucial part of what has developed me. And I mean, I was raised that that's how we were supposed to treat others and everything. I was homeschooled from 1st grade through 7th grade and then went to public school, had a super big culture shock. But so I think a lot of what developed who I was is part of me just also taking after my family and how they raised me and everything. But community and everything was a big part of that. It's hard to get out in the community, especially if you're not a big talker or you don't know how to talk to people that you don't know what they do. So what do you even start talking about? That's a really hard thing. But those little awkward moments that you think that you might have are really not that awkward. You might say, hey, how's it going? And you think that 2-second pause was I need to step away from this, you know. But no, it's totally fine. You know, that's part of what it just shows that you want to meet someone, you want to learn about what someone else does, and then it really helps grow you as a person.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think Gainesville is a great city to actually be able to grow in, right? Because it's trying to grow in a big pond versus like a small pond.
Right.
Like, regardless, you're going to start as a small fish. If you're in a big pond, you really kind of just get overlooked and overshadowed. Yeah. But when you're in like a smaller ecosystem that still has a lot of talent around you, just because of like what's in Gainesville, it truly allows you to connect and like build relationships with others past just like the surface level of going around an elevator pitching everywhere.
Right. And naturally, Gainesville being a college town,
everybody
understands you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have to learn and you're going to be bettering yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, like my wife, she was at a marketing job previously before she went full-time with me. She was always beating herself up about situations happening at work and everything, or how did I not catch that before it became a mistake and this and that. It's like, listen, the company knows, you know, that you are learning, that you, because she was just out of college, got her degree in telecommunications, and she went to UF. So she was beating herself up like she was supposed to already know everything. But the thing about Gainesville is everybody understands, or most people understand, that you are learning, and as long as you have the will and desire to continue to learn and get better, then that means that normally you can really go a far way with that. If you're going straight into an industry that they expect you to know every single thing, that's where it's hard. It's super discouraging, and a lot of people will fall off the cliff because then they're like, man, I wasn't ready for this. I thought school was going to prepare me. School prepares you for a lot of things, but there's so many personal experiences you have to go through and understand how you react to different situations. So
kind of moving into those like experiences a little bit, because you got your you got your AA at Santa Fe and decided to not pursue any type of like undergrad or bachelor's through UF. You just fully dove into the business. What was that experience like, and what did you kind of learn throughout that process that allowed you to grow? Because I'm guessing if you went and did a full 4-year degree, you would have been a lot more inclined to accept one of those job offers because the salary probably would have been much more enticing. And it was like, this is the safe and smart choice.
Right. So one of the biggest things for me is because I was doing business directed classes at Santa Fe for my AA, assuming I would transfer from there, because Santa Fe is a great transfer to UF. It really is. That was the plan. But doing the classes like accounting and all of those things, I had a hard time with them. I wasn't connecting the dots, and I was
Right.
like, man, how much of this will I actually use in all the situations? So moving, I would have stuck with going to school and everything if I had the finances to let the business be a little bit dormant while I did it. But I didn't have that opportunity. I needed to make sure the business was succeeding so that I could pay bills and everything. But with that being said, the things I learned slowly but surely through the business, you recognize what you need to know.
Yeah.
While you're running a business and you hit a wall, you realize you need to get through that wall. You hit another wall, okay, I need to get through this. And you'll learn that, okay, I don't want to learn the minimum to get me through it. I want to learn as much as possible to where next time this comes around, you'll figure it out. Like doing your taxes or how you do your bookkeeping is not easy. However,
No.
college was setting me up for success though, because they had those classes.
Right.
I just didn't see in my own life how I would apply them yet. And that's the hardest thing of when you're in a class that you think is useless. Some of them might not be as useful as others, but everything all helps build character. But when you're in that class you think might be useless, really think about how, okay, in this situation, I would use this in the future. I definitely want to learn it,
Yeah.
because I wish I would have saved myself a lot of trouble if I had paid more attention to those things. But either way, though, being kind of self-taught really helped me slowly but surely build up to getting to where I'm at, rather than being thrown straight into something that I didn't even understand.
Yeah.
So that is something I do appreciate about it. And then learning that, for me specifically, learning what really related to the business that I was running, and really honing in and focusing on those things to how to make me successful, rather than all the other things that might not have been as necessary. I would say that was a plus about the way I took it, and did everything. But it definitely had a lot of help and impact going to those classes and learning the start of it before moving into the other portions and everything.
Yeah. No, talking about accounting and like taxes and everything like that is actually funny because my accounting teacher from Santa Fe actually helped me file our taxes over the summer. I like emailed him and I was like,
Yep.
"Your professor, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Can you help me?" He was like, "Sure."
Right.
So it's just funny to bring that up.
Biggest thing is your resources,
Right,
who you have
totally.
around you. My dad owns a physical therapy clinic here in town. So watching him build that from nothing as a kid has been a huge help on me recognizing the challenges I'm going to face, that it's not going to be an easy road that always looks like you're going straight up. You're going to hit walls, you're going to lose people, things are going to change. Your services might change. People might not need something that you were originally offering that was a big portion, But watching him hit those walls and figure out how to get past it was a huge part for me. But with that being said, too, he was on an extreme side of detailed accounting, because for a physical therapy clinic, you got to be very particular about everything, keeping and all that. So it was a huge help for me to be able to ask him. Now, he didn't know everything, but he did have a really good CPA. So my CPA that I have is a very helpful person that I spend a lot of time with even now, figuring it out.
Yeah, and that's also a good point to bring up, because one thing that I always try to preach to people is you have access to more resources than you really think.
Right.
Because one resource specifically is your parents, that people typically don't bring up or they won't, seek for guidance. So having that entrepreneurial dad in your life, what type of role did he play, especially when you went to him and basically told him, like, yeah, I'm fully diving in and trying to start this business?
Yeah, so a lot of parents that don't understand entrepreneurship are going to say it's too risky, don't do it.
Right.
And having a father figure, and even my mom, because she worked kind of like how Cami works with me, she's worked besides homeschooling us, when she was done homeschooling all of us.
Right.
Because I have 4 other siblings, so there's 5 of us, so she had to homeschool full time. Once she was done homeschooling with us, she went full time with the business as well. So having parents that fully supported it and was like completely and utterly encouraging me to do it, recognizing the benefit and your own kind of personal understanding of yourself and what you can do, and really recognizing your talents and abilities, because your talents and abilities will really shine out of something that you create yourself, and that's something I really recognize. I could really learn what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, because you start, especially when you start taking on employees, you start figuring out real quick what you want to hand off to the other people, so that has been a really big thing for me. And I've recognized, because there's friends of mine from high school that hey, I have this idea, kind of thinking I might want to start a business, but I don't know if it's a smart idea. I recognize that I can be that influence in their life, just like how my parents were for me.
Totally.
Because their parents weren't into that. They've worked regular jobs, and nothing against that, but that just kind of hinders the little bit of the potential for growth or even the starting up period. Because the hardest part is starting it and deciding that you're going to run with it. The hardest part for me was starting it and deciding I was going to go full time with it.
Yeah.
Working a full time job and taking online classes and doing my pilot's license was hard, but at least I was making money, and at least I knew I was getting the next paycheck.
Yeah.
Going full time with the business was, obviously I did it at a point to where I thought I would be okay.
Right.
I didn't know, because you never know, but I thought I would be okay, and that's when I made the leap. But that was not an easy decision.
Right.
But having the support and the people around you saying, hey, I'm here for you, I'll problem solve if something goes wrong, that's a big part of helping it out.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's awesome. And the making money part is always, in my mind, like one of the scariest things, because an idea, a service, a concept, whatever sounds great in your head. And then you start like diving deeper into it, and it's like, would someone really give me their money to do this, right? So it's always the most interesting part. So moving back into the business, because you started purely as aviation and drones, and now, I mean, like, it's full blown. You do everything.
Yeah.
So was that like just one big leap? You decided like, okay, I'm just gonna learn this and fully dive into it. Was it kind of like baby steps? Like, what did that process look like?
So I did not think I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. I didn't think that we would have the services we have right now. Obviously, my original plan would have been I'd be a pilot flying commercial airlines right now.
Right, a Delta or something.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me was you always want to have an idea of where you want to go, a 5-year plan or something like that. But it's okay to pivot off of that.
Totally.
If the opportunity arises, or the thing that you decide, oh, I'm really interested in this, or I didn't realize how much money was in this and the amount of community it could bring, or the team that I could build off of it. Because pretty much a lot of the decisions I made was, okay, if I'm shooting real estate photography or just drone or anything like that, I will be working by myself. I won't be around community. I won't be bettering myself in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. So, okay, let's figure out what I need to do to build a team. Okay, video production. All right, video production is a great way to build a team, because if you want to do a really good production, you got to have multiple people, whether it's contractors or employees. At the time, I started out doing mostly just contractors before doing employees or having close contractors that we work with. But from there, I continued to find a way to continue to add more people into the mix and build something that had a foundation. But yeah, that's kind of what I was focusing. Sorry, what was the initial question? I went on a rant.
You're good.
I went on a rant. I started into it.
It was, how did you grow from just aviation to like the full-blown media company
that's
you are
right.
today?
Okay, so growing from there, it was never exactly what I had planned. It was never that. So figuring things out along the way, having an idea of where I wanted to be. My biggest thing, 5-year plan, I wanted to have a community that I could help pour into, but also learn from myself. I love surrounding myself by people that are more knowledgeable in areas than I am.
Totally.
Running a production business, I have to know about drones, cameras, shooting, editing, color grading, sound design, all the things, especially client communications and invoicing and proposals and all that kind of stuff. Which makes it where I can only excel in each one at a certain degree at the same time. So being surrounded by people that are better than me at those things has been a huge part of it. But all that to say, I didn't know exactly what we were going to end up doing. I didn't know where we were going to go. However, we've seen a lot of success by being willing to pivot one step at a time rather than all at once. None of what we do is all at once. I didn't just decide, okay, I'm going to dump a ton of money into all this video production equipment. I'm going to offer social media management, inbound marketing, all this kind of stuff, and just hope it sticks. It was, okay, one thing stuck, and then I went to the next thing. Once we started the production side of things, we had a team, and we were building a team, but how do I continue to make that team stick? How can they be employees rather than contractors?
Yeah.
I still need work for them to do. Okay, so what's the next thing? All right, social media management. It's a smaller scale kind of production because you're just creating content, but you're trying to really strategize with people, content that'll stick with that client of ours, buyers, who's buying into that company or wants a part of it. How do we learn their industry?
Right.
Okay, so that allowed us to have the monthly retainers that then supplied the team to be on staff with us and everything. So that's been, and a lot of it also was failures too, trying to get into something a little over our heads. We wanted to do social media marketing and all of that, and potentially be a marketing agency without marketing that out on our end, just doing test runs. And then we realized real quick, graphic design and all this stuff and offering the full service was a huge leap that we weren't supposed to take.
Yeah.
So now we would like to pair with marketing agencies, and we'll offer the content creation and everything rather than the whole package, to where we let the other companies excel in where they're at. We excel where we're at, and then we also get a bigger community of people to work with and learn from. So
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of it was just simply listening to the customer. I mean,
Yep.
that's how we've continued to build our platform, is just listening to like hosts and fans and seeing what they would like to see.
Right.
I'm sure it was very similar. It was, you start as just aviation, and then you have a customer that really likes you and
Yep.
is like, cool, can you do this too? And it's
Yeah.
like, right now, no, but we'll figure it out.
Right.
And then you grow that side of the business, and
Yeah.
then it just continues to snowball.
Yeah, for an example, a lot of the times we'll have clients come to us, hey, do you do this? Do you do that? And I'm honest with them, unless I know how to do it to an extent. We might not have done it, but I know how to do it.
Right.
I'm honest with them and I say, hey, we don't do it. However, I would be more than happy to figure it out, and I'll get back to you if I feel like we can do it to the ability. Like the Gainesville Chamber wanted a Visit Gainesville video made that was a VR video of drone flying all through these different areas and everything, which is super cool. So if you check out our YouTube channel, you can find it. It's what is the actual name on it? It's the Gainesville Chamber Visit Gainesville video. You'll find it easily if you look up Luke's Media Company. But point being, we didn't do VR video. I didn't know how to edit VR video, because that's like a whole different dimension of editing rather than just a single 16:9 whatever frame. You're editing something that people will be immersed in looking around with the sound design and everything. Had to figure it out myself, got the equipment I needed before I even told them yes, figured it out, and then from there went to the customer and said, hey, we can do it for you, and this is how much it would cost. Here's an example that we put together just so you can trust that we can do it for you. So a lot of it was they asked for it, we proved that we can make it happen, and then that is like a really cool learning experience for us when those things come as well. But that's kind of led to us being a full service in all these different areas.
That's awesome. No, I mean, it's really cool to hear about, where you started, where you're at. I know we've definitely talked prior, so the complete story is just really, really cool. I know we're coming up on time, but I would love to end with just the question of, if you were a current college student right now trying to tap into the videography industry,
Yep.
what would you do?
I would find someone that runs a business, and it doesn't have to be us, but someone that runs a business that truly has a care for your growth. That's the biggest thing. There's a few in town that I know. They're great people, but they're constantly thinking about how they can continue to only grow their business. There's a difference between growing your business for you and growing your business for the team, and growing your business in a way that the team benefits just as much as you do and right alongside you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to look at my team and say, oh, I'm better than you or bigger than you. I want to feel like I'm actually not,
Right.
And that way, yes, I might be orchestrating everything, but that way I can consistently feel like I'm learning something and I'm giving myself even opportunities to continue to grow. But point being, finding people that either know the industry and can kind of get you in on here and there gigs, or a company that you can really read and understand that you are the focus of the operation. That's kind of the biggest thing, because there's so much that school can teach you. You can go to the production program at UF, and that's great, and you learn a lot.
Right.
It's hard to know exactly what you need to know for what you like, whether it's photography based or video based. There's just a whole whole world of things to get into. So,
Yeah.
but I'd say the biggest thing is just making connections and really venting out if they are focused on you or just want to use you for your talents for the time being, or if they're really focused on helping you grow and get into the next spot and the next step of your career and moving forward to better yourself. So,
Beautiful.
because that's the biggest thing. You always want to have a focus on yourself to an extent, but continue to be focused on bettering the people around you, because I've always been raised that you give and you'll be given back to, and that's the way I kind of run the business. So
Beautiful. Well, definitely, really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story today.
Absolutely.
If you guys need video production done, check out Luke's Media Company, but, that's about it. We'll wrap that up there. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was a really good time. Appreciate it.
Cool. Good there.